Never in a million years did I think I'd make any build using the new Iron Grip exotic gloves. The talent overall feels useless at times, but believe it or not, they have found a home, and I'm so happy to show you how I made this unlikely exotic fusion actually work. But before I do, don't hesitate to like the video and subscribe to my channel for builds from DPS all the way to skill. No matter how long the Division 2 has been out, the one aspect of it that keeps me playing are the unique build concepts that we're able to come up with. How the weapons and gear affect them in so many ways, like ongoing directives hollow point ammo increasing the damage of your skills. How Ridgeway's Pride works with the deflector shield, or the insane damage Ravenous applies to enemy armor plates. I have so many more I can tell you about. But the only one I'm concerned with today is the relationship between the new Vindicator exotic rifle and the Iron Grip gloves. This only adds to that list, which increases the build variety even more. But for this build, I went through about 5 iterations of it, and this fusion between the two exotics is why I chose this one. On top of that, the build hits like a truck while catering to the weapon's awesome weapon handling. It's literally a rifle player's dream build. So let me stop wasting your time and show you what I've got here.
Okay, so this is a build long overdue because, as you know, I kept talking about how Vindicator was one of my favorite rifles simply because it was an Urban MDR variant, and on the strength of that alone I thought that it would be a beast because the Urban MDR is good in its own right. So for them to make an exotic just made all my dreams come true. Did they seriously just walk in front of me outside? I thought I was safe out here, bruh. They do it out here too? Come on, man. Alright. This is trolling at this point. But anyways, I wasn't really confident about uploading the build that I had originally with the Vindicator because it just was not strong enough. It just wasn't strong, period. You could take a regular rifle and use this build and it'll hit harder. But the reason why this build is special is because, as you can see, I'm using the gloves. And you're probably thinking, why would you use these gloves? Because the very concept of these gloves is that when you're hip firing, it gives you a negative 50% recoil penalty. And when you're blind firing, it gives you a negative recoil penalty, which means it increases your weapon handling when you're blind firing or hip firing. So it goes against the very concept or the purpose of the Vindicator's talent, which is, while scoped, the weapon will highlight a random body section of each enemy. The weapon amplifies damage by 40% weapon damage to highlighted body section. Okay, now believe it or not, these two exotics are a match made in heaven. I'm about to tell you why right now. I'm not going to let you wait, okay? Then I'm going to get into the build because this gear that I have right here is amazing. They've been upgraded based on Project Resolve. I think a lot of you haven't really realized it. I'll show you in a minute. But these gloves, just because you're blind firing doesn't mean you're not getting that bonus, because if you're not aiming down sights, you still get the bonus for hitting them in that body section if you know where it's at. I tested this out. I'm like, is this going to work? Because here's how it is. This talent was coded as such that whenever an enemy spawns, that body section is already ingrained within the code. So it's already saved on that enemy no matter what. So whether you're zoomed in or not, that body section is going to be highlighted. And the reason why it's significant in this build is because I'm running glass cannon on the chest piece. And the attributes you want to have are headshot damage and critical hit chance if you can. Because you want as many crits as possible. Even if you don't have that much crit hit damage, if you land a headshot crit, then it's going to be pretty significant. In glass cannon, all damage you deal is amplified by 25%, and all damage you take is amplified by 50%. So this is one of the reasons why I'm using these Iron Grip gloves, because if you saw the gameplay, I would get into cover and blind fire, pretty much spray and pray, but it's pretty accurate because of the weapon handling that I have. and that's due to the 3-piece for Overlord armaments. This is what I was talking about. Overlord armaments and Fenris is crazy when it comes to the 2 and 3-piece. 30% accuracy, 30% weapon handling. Now there's a chest piece, right? What is it called? Let me show it to you. It's in my stash. It's a named Petrov chest and it's called Perfect Braced. While in cover, weapon handling is increased by 50%. Now I really like that chest piece. I actually used a lot of builds with it. This one, it's a chest I use with the Merciless because the Merciless is pretty ridiculous when it comes to handling. And by the way, this build is not only for the Vindicator, it's for the Bighorn, it's for the Merciless, it's for any weapon that's really hard to handle and it shoots like a laser beam because, you know, weapon handling equates to DPS simply because you're going to hit all your shots as accurately as possible. So with this composition, it's allowing me to have 30% weapon handling, which will pretty much equate to what Perfect Brace gives me from the 𝒉𝒆𝒑𝒔 vest because I have the accuracy along with the weapon handling. And weapon handling encompasses accuracy, stability, and whatever else comes with handling your weapon. So it pretty much equates to DPS like I said. Initially I had the Ninja Bike backpack. And then I was using the Sacrifice, which gives me perfect glass cannon. But I don't know, I wanted to incorporate these gloves because I actually felt the difference. It wasn't anything that I was imagining. Usually when I blind fire, I'm like, oh, the blind firing is already accurate. They buffed that a while ago, so what's the point of these gloves? But you can actually feel the difference. And plus I wanted to have vigilance, which also helps with this concept because if I'm in cover, I'm not getting hit. And vigilance will always be activated. Because with vigilance, increases your weapon damage by 25%.
Agent requesting backup.
And taking damage, it disables it for 4 seconds, so it's pretty much useless if you get hit. So if I'm in cover, blind firing and spraying and praying, then as you saw, it's just going to be dealing that 25% damage. The glass cannon is going to be hitting those weak points from the Vindicator. It's just a crazy concept of a build. Now, I wouldn't label this build S tier or anything like that because I tried it in Legendary and it's just really hard to use this in Legendary simply because of how much damage you take and how much damage the rifles don't deal in relation to assault rifles or something like that. You could use the secondary Shield Splinter, which is crazy good. I mean, this is just really good with weapon handling and Perfect Optimism. It increases the less ammo you have, so it's just a really great weapon. I don't know if you have this weapon, but it's really good because the regular Optimist is only 3% for every 10% ammo missing. This is 4%, which is great. Not only does Overlord give you some great attributes for the gear, but as you know, Fox's Prayer is part of Overlord's armament, so you naturally get that damage to targets out of cover when using this. So it's just a natural fit, right? I remember I made something like this with the build I made years ago when Warlords of New York first came out. It was called Keener's Fate. It was with 3 Fenris and 3 Overlord. And I was using an Urban MDR and I think another assault rifle. I forgot which one it was. With this, it's way better because they updated this stuff. They upgraded these attributes for Fenris and Overlords. This was not 30% weapon handling. That's ridiculous. And I don't even think this was 30% accuracy. So I have headshot damage rolled here. And then for the Fenris, check this out, man. 30% reload speed. That is insane. And oh yeah, I forgot. I'm going to show you in the stats, but what weapon handling does also is increases your swap speed. So I don't know if you saw that little snippet when I pulled out the specialization weapon, which I'm using is sharpshooter, but I switched to that specialization weapon as if it was just my secondary. That's how fast the swap speed is. So weapon handling increases reload speed, swap speed, stability, accuracy. It equates to everything you need if you want to be like a straight up gunner, because you want to appeal to the attributes on this Vindicator weapon. When I was talking about this, I'm like, man, I do not like this. These aren't exotic attachments. 15% accuracy, which also increases 10% optimal range, 15% stability. So here's the thing, you want to cater to what's already on here. You don't need to put crit chance and crit damage. You can, but I do not like how the Vindicator jumps up and down when it fires without weapon handling. It just gives me a headache when I'm looking at that jump up and down. So this is pretty much straight up weapon handling, deadly accurate, mid-range rifle build. It's not for PvP at all, definitely not. And it's not for Legendary. You can, maybe if you're in a team when nobody's really paying attention to you, if you're accurate, you can use it in Legendary, most definitely. I was killing enemies in Legendary, but solo, I'm not really comfortable with that. For the skills, I'm just using DPS skills, the decoy. fast cooldowns. It gets the enemy off your track. They aim at it, so it gives you an opportunity to beam them down. And then the EMP sticky bomb, which is also a fast skill that's good for DPS. So let me show you the stats, okay? The crit chance is as high as I can get it. If I were to get a better chest piece, then I could roll crit chance on here, and I would have 6% more. But you want to make sure you have crit chance mods, because everything else on here is rolled to headshot damage, so you're good there. And I'm not using Headhunter, so the 150% that's required to get more damage with Headhunter is not really necessary. If you did have Headhunter, then you make sure you have 150% or more so you can reach that threshold. But check this reload speed bonus, 70%. That's nothing, man. Like, you might as well not reload at all. That's like the same reload as the Ouroboros or something. And you got 85% accuracy, 70 stability. This is what I was talking about, the 30% swap speed bonus. Now, I could definitely get more if I had the Ninja Bike backpack, right? Because here's the thing, when I use the Ninja Bike backpack, instead of using these rugged gauntlets, I would use the contractor's gloves. And you see, for the 2-piece, the contractor's gloves gives me more weapon handling, 15%. And that's what really drew me to wanting to use the Ninja Bike over the rugged gauntlet gloves. But I'm missing out on the vigilance backpack talent and a little bit more weapon handling. And in this case, I would use this type of build over the Ninja Bike, because, you know, I'm an advocate of using the Ninja Bike over certain backpack talents because you just get so many more bonuses for doing that. But in this case, you want to use vigilance because it just makes sense with the rugged gauntlets and just the way that I'm using this build. And since the Vindicator doesn't really hit as hard as I want it to, you want as much damage as you can get with glass cannon and vigilance. So this is a straight up DPS rifle build. It's not as normal as you would think it is, because I really didn't expect this type of playstyle. And I really didn't expect to use these exotic gloves, because honestly, I don't see any other reason to use these, period. I just don't. Anyways, that's the build, y'all. Let me know what you think of it down below. I'm finally able to upload it because I'm comfortable with it. I would not upload a build I'm not comfortable with, because you know that if a build isn't hitting hard, it's just not hitting. And I'm not about to promote that. So, I appreciate you stopping by and watching to the end. If this helped you out in any way, then like the video and subscribe to my channel if you're new. I'll see you in the next one, fam. Be right out.